Hey y'all, Sergeant TJ here, coming at you once again from the DFW right here in the heart of Texas. And let me tell you something, it is a great day to be alive. And I know many of you are looking around yourselves right now thinking, what's so great about it? Well, here's the thing. We all woke up and we're still breathing, we still got a heartbeat, still got a pulse. So that's number one. And number two, with all the shit going on in the world around us today, it's easy to fall into a place where you feel like things just suck, when in fact, we may just be missing out on the things right under our noses that are worthy of smiling about. For example, although my San Francisco 49ers got smacked down again last night for the second week in a row by a subpar team, if I focused on that, I could really be bummed out. Sure, but here's the thing. You got to choose to find the positive shit in life that's worth making you happy. Things that make you happy, instead of focusing on the things that make you not happy. So, for example, last night, the Texas Rangers wrapped up an amazing ALCS victory over the Houston Astros, the defending champion Houston Astros, I might add. And although I'm a San Francisco Giants fan, I've been pulling for the Rangers and Bruce Bochy, of course, the Giants' old manager. And hey, it was a great feeling to see those guys go out there and win it and head into the World Series again. Now, we're talking about a Texas Rangers team that, like the San Francisco 49ers until Bruce Bochy came along, have never won a World Series. So we're going into this thing thinking, hey, there's a real chance the Rangers could pull this off. And I'm rooting for them. I hope they get it. Especially on account of the fact that the San Francisco 49ers kind of rained on their parade back in 2010 with the victory in the World Series there. So anyway, Giants aren't in it, but the Rangers are, and that's really cool. So again, focusing on the positive stuff that right underneath your nose. And here's another thing. So, I've been having problems with my pool, and as it turns out, the vacuum on my pool just flat out fell apart and I had to replace it. So, that's not really great because they cost like $700 or something, a ridiculous amount of money. But you got to do what you got to do. So, again, I could have been focused on that and been all bummed out like, shit, there goes $700. Bye-bye. But no, you just got to, you got to stay positive and just look at the world around you and find the good shit that makes you smile. And here's an example. So yesterday, when I went in to drop that $700 on that vacuum, I went into the Leslie's Pools over on Collins Avenue in Arlington, Texas. And so I walk in there, and young fella, 29-year-old fella, was in there working, and we got to talking, and he was great. Gave me all the information I needed, was very helpful, great customer service, and despite the fact that I was dropping money down that I really didn't want to have to spend, but had no choice about, he made it a really awesome, positive experience. In fact, we spent probably the good part of an hour just shooting the breeze. And I was very encouraged and very impressed by this young man's knowledge. Now, mind you, he's half my age, 29, do the math. And he left me with the feeling of, you know what, there may just be hope for this country of ours after all. Because he was very knowledgeable, very insightful, and very personable. And I just want to thank him personally. Ryan, this episode is dedicated to you, my friend. It was a pleasure meeting you. And also, I did notice that when I got home last night, I checked on my page, on my channel, and found that I had a new subscriber. And I can't say for certain, but I'm pretty sure I owe Ryan the thanks for that. So thank you, sir. Much appreciated. So, I guess the message I'm trying to convey here is that, no matter who we are or what our circumstance, we're always going to be surrounded by stress and we're always going to be surrounded by bullshit, stuff that we just wish we didn't have to deal with. The stupid guy in the car that cuts you off, or, the guy who does your lawn who always constantly cuts the heads off of your sprinklers and never tells you until your yard's flooded, shit like that. But, that's the easy route. And I mean, I guess I'm talking from almost 60 years of experience here. And that experience has taught me, hey, you know what? It's easy to focus on the bullshit, but you get the greatest rewards when you look around and focus on the good stuff. For example, if we go into William Bruce's adventures and the experiences that he's had in his lifetime that we've seen so far through chapter 17, we've seen where he's been face to face with deadly situations, where he was out in the middle of the woods just having himself a little stroll on a horse. And the next thing you know, he's in a one-on-one battle with a brown bear. I mean, most of us don't have to deal with shit like that here today. I mean, you don't see too many bears walking around, the DFW. So, but those were realities that the people back in the 1700s that lived on the frontier actually had to deal with. If they were lucky, they didn't, but it was not uncommon. So, adapt and overcome, like they taught me in the military, right? He was faced with the situation that he didn't expect, he didn't see coming, but he didn't really have a choice in the matter, so he just had to deal with it, and that's what he did. And then there's the predicament from chapter 17. Now, here's a guy who had been through some tough times. He'd been through some traumatic experiences in Ireland, and he was really at a loss as a result of those events that took place in Ireland before he came here to the United States, which at the time, of course, was the North American colonies, British colonies of North America. So, he finds himself in this incredibly difficult situation, and yet he overcomes and he starts over. And I think there's something to be learned from that. And in William's case, as you've seen, if you've been listening to the book, you know that while he was struggling internally, he was also very dedicated to his family, and that came first. And that was kind of the message that I was hoping to convey while writing it, was that, we all go through difficult times, but, family is first and foremost, without which I don't think any of us can, really truly say that we're happy or able to navigate through this world without. And so, again, in the predicament in chapter 17, we see where William has come around and he's had many adventures and many journeys, trying to find himself and his place in this world, trying to bounce back from this horrible tragedy that occurred in his homeland. And ultimately, he finds himself in the middle of nowhere on the frontier of Western Virginia. Actually, it's the western portion of Virginia, I guess you'd say. Yeah, maybe not. It's Shenandoah Valley. But yeah, anyway. He's out on the frontier of Virginia, where at the time, no other white man really lived. There were very few white men living there. There were plenty of Haudenosaunee and Shawnee and Piscataway tribes in the area that had inhabited that region for thousands of years. And all of a sudden, here comes the white man. And my great-grandfather, William Bruce, was one of those men, one of the first white men to step foot on much of that land, in fact. But here he finds himself in this faraway place in the middle of nowhere and finds a way to carve a life out for himself. And so he starts to settle into this new community, Old Town. And the only problem is he finds that, well, I'd only had an agreement to stay here through the winter, and it's time for me to move on. And I thought it was pretty cool how the townspeople came around and rewarded his efforts and contributions to the community by going out of their way to keep him there, as anyone who's listened to the chapter would know. If you haven't heard it yet, I would recommend you do so. It's pretty neat. And matter of fact, I kind of wish that we would get back to a little bit more of that here in this country today, where folks look out for each other and they take care of each other. And I have to throw props to my neighbor James, who came over with my other neighbor Lonnie a couple of days ago and kind of exhibited that very thing in something they did for me. You see, here in my community, we have these huge brick mailboxes, in the front yards of every house. And my wife and I have been here for going on 10 years now. And our mailbox was starting to lean over a little bit. And I noticed a couple of other mailboxes in the neighborhood had actually fallen over and just shattered. And so I was a little concerned that that would be the case for ours. But as it turned out, James and Lonnie came over and with a sack of like granite sand or some shit, I don't know, and some tools. And next thing I know, they've got my mailbox standing tall and looking good again, perfectly plumb level. And that's what I'm talking about. Back in the day when William was living here, that's how folks did. They looked out for each other. They did projects with each other. They did projects for each other to help, because they knew that it took the whole community to really to survive and thrive. Not to mention to foster good relations in the community. And so to James and Lonnie, I salute you, gents, as well, along with Ryan. You guys are awesome, and I truly appreciate what you did for me, and it won't soon be forgotten. So anyway, that said, I'm excited about this evening because at 8 p.m. Central, Chapter 18 drops. And that chapter is called Allow Me. And during that chapter, you will learn that William's life takes yet another turn in an entirely different direction as we move forward with the adventures of William Bruce. So, as always, thank you so much for tuning in and giving me a listen. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. I'm out.